Hello guys, if I may ask, I would love to know what is your career path, like the ones who are already in. Like I'm interested in what is your career path.
Hello.
Hello.
So I'm Collins Rono. I'm a final year student in IT, and I've been doing more web development, but now I want to try out some mobile development in Flutter.
Yeah, that's good to know.
Hello, this is I'm a final year student from First Science. Still hearing stuff about. Um,
Unfortunately, I couldn't hear you well. Can you repeat?
Saying you used to do web, but now I want to stop that. I'm a final year student in computer science.
Hello, Eric Muli, the Eric. Um, Anyone else wants to share?
Hello.
Hello.
So my name is Felix. I am a student. I was a student learning diploma in electrical, but now I want to learn about Flutter. I have studied Flutter for the past 2 years. So I joined this community for Flutter Kenya with Eric Muli, and I'm looking forward to learn more about Flutter. I also have learned about PHP. So I want to combine Flutter and PHP.
Yes, that's great. Is Felix. Yeah, Felix. And if I may also ask, how did, if you have any programming skills, how did you learn your skills?
I learned from YouTube, from NetNinja, and also from Udemy. I learned nothing from the school, just from online.
Yes. Anyone else wants to share?
Hi everyone.
Hi.
So my name is Muli. I'm an engineering student, University of Nairobi, and also a Flutter developer. Yeah.
Yes. Welcome to our session. Anyone else? So, okay, I guess I should also introduce myself. Sorry for the bad manners. I should have introduced myself before we even started. So, I'm Reuben Jefwa. I'm a student, a second year student at the University of Nairobi. I'm also a Flutter developer and the mobile lead for the Android plugin GDSC. So, what is GDSC? GDSC is the Google Student developers club. I believe the people who are here are either in GDSC or AngelHack. So this is a cooperation between the two clubs. And this, for March, we are focusing on Flutter, and what we'll build for these 4 events that will follow up will be a simple to-do list app, both a bit about the UI and a bit about the backend. It won't be a fully fledged app, but at least it will give you a good idea of how the whole app development process usually takes place. And in our session today, we'll only focus about the introduction part and a bit about the UI, the widgets. Okay, but I guess we should wait for 2 more minutes to see how many people have, then we can start officially. But I would also love to know more about how did you learn your skills, for those who have not yet shared yet.
I think I should go first because I don't see anyone. So, as I said, I'm Muli, a Flutter engineer at a company called Quasar Technologies in South Africa. So, I started like writing Flutter, I think 4 years ago. Back in 2018, I think it was still in beta. I think version 0.8 beta. So that's when I started Flutter. Basically, that time it was actually it was not even stable for mobile. So I picked a course from YouTube by a German tutor called Maximilian Schulze-Muller. He's a very good tutor. Okay, I'm not campaigning for anyone, but to be really honest and frank, I didn't even complete that course. I think by the 40th percentile of the course was at least somewhere that you could take my first gig. But it has been a learning process for the past 3.5 to 4 years. You don't say like you're good in Flutter at a point, like you don't learn. Tech changes every day, and like you're still learning. From time it was around 0.285 beta to today it's around 2.10.3. Like there have been a lot of changes. There have been new technologies that have introduced. They've introduced null safety. They've introduced like the Flutter SDK is evolving because it's still new, so you can't say that it has reached that point that is mature enough, but it's stable. Like companies are using it. Some companies are still moving towards it. So yeah, so that has been my learning process. Up to date, I'm still learning. So yeah, there's nothing you can say like you ever stop learning. You never stop learning. Yeah, back to you, Jeffrey.
Yes, thank you, Eric. Yeah, I think Eric is one of my mentors, one of the people who made me also do Flutter back in the day. Yeah, also I think my journey is almost similar to him. I started, yeah, I did the course on Udemy, and like him, I completed the course. It's Mark Schwarzmuller, yes. I would also recommend that course if you can afford it, yes, but if you can't, I'm not encouraging you to plagiarize, but okay, you can always download it for free. But if you can afford it, please look at it. I'll also send you a link. But I guess I would also love to hear if anyone else has a story. It doesn't have to be about Flutter, it can be about PHP, it can be about web. How did you learn and how until at the point you are now? I guess I've never had. Oh, tell you. I guess I've never had Mandela. Give us your story. I've never had yours, even though we are colleagues. I've never heard about your story.
Hi everyone, my name is Winnie Mandela. I'm the lead for the AngelHack UON chapter. So basically, I am more of a jack of all trades, only that I haven't touched mobile development. I'm a web developer, basically on the front end side using Angular, and I'm also a UI UX designer and a community manager. So how I gained my skill is more of being self-taught. Yeah, I'm the type of people who love reading documentation. Yeah, so I gained my skills via documentation. And also my mentor is also here and he's the one who helped me in some of my skills. Yeah, that's it. Yep, thank you.
Yeah, I guess we are about it, but we can start. The others can join as we move on, right?
Yes, we can start.
So I'll introduce a bit of Flutter. It doesn't have to be like super deep, because the focus of this is not the theory around Flutter. It's more about the practicals. But I'll introduce a bit about Flutter for those who are absolutely new. And I also believe that you are able to install Flutter into your machines, so that will move along together. Did anybody encounter any problem? You can type in the chat. I guess either Eric or Mandela will help you. I will not be able to see the chats once I start to present. So what is Flutter? I believe if you wanted to learn Flutter, you should by now know that it's a UI toolkit by Google used to create cross-platform apps, both Android, iOS, Mac OS. There's Windows, Linux, and I guess the new one is, okay, not I would say new, but Fuchsia OS. I think it's a new OS coming up, being advocated for by Google. So for us today, and for the sessions that we'll be having, we'll be looking more into mobile development, not for web, not for desktop, but only for mobile. And in mobile, there are 3 different approaches you can do to make an app. Either you can go native, that is Java, Kotlin, Swift, or hybrid. Hybrid is cross-platform, which includes Flutter. There is Ionic, React Native, there's Xamarin. There's a lot of options. And then I think web. For web, this is usually like mobile view for web. Yeah, like this is what I was explaining. So why should we choose Flutter as opposed to the other alternatives that are there? While it's prone to discussion which is the best platform, I think personally Flutter I wouldn't say it's the best, but it offers more functionality for me, and it's easier for me to learn than it was for React Native. I believe if you're a mobile developer, I don't think you love CSS, and even if you're a web developer, I don't think you're comfortable doing CSS, like native CSS, unless you're using Bootstrap. So for me, Flutter is both very fast because it compiles directly to native code. It's also very flexible in terms of customizations, animations, and the way it feels. Like it's actually really difficult to distinguish between a Flutter app and a native app, unless you are now really diving into the Android SDK. But yeah, so what makes Flutter unique? Like I was saying, it compiles to native code. So if you're compiling to Android, the app that will be running will be into like native code. If you're compiling to iOS, it will run like a native iOS application. But then if you're compiling to web, yeah, I wouldn't say is the best experience using Flutter for the web. You can, but I think it's not the best experience using it for the web. But you still can if you want to, but you'll have to really optimize your code. So Flutter usually works with Dart, like Flutter and Dart. Flutter is for the UI, and the Dart language is mostly for the functionality. You can even write server-side code with Dart, but if you are using Firebase, they're usually Firebase packages, but then for something like Cloud Functions, you still have to learn a backend language like either Node. You can use Python for some functionalities of the backend. You can write client server-side code with that, but I don't think it's yet supported for Cloud Functions for Firebase. If it was, it will be awesome, because for me, that is awesome. So in Flutter, since Android and iOS are two different platforms, I would say, it still has to like render everything that you put, because you'll be writing one code, then you use it for multiple platforms. So if you are building it in Android, like if you're compiling it to Android, you usually use material widgets, and then if you're going for iOS, it's usually Cupertino widgets. So at the top of your tree, not at the top of your tree, but as I was saying, for Android, it's usually material widgets, and for iOS, Cupertino widgets. And like, what is a widget in Flutter? Because you'll hear mostly that Flutter is all about widgets. What is a widget in Flutter? Let me try to. Like a widget in Flutter, I would say it's not like a visual component, but it's like, what's the right word to use? Okay, for example, if you look at this image, actually, this is what we'll try to build today. I hope we'll have the 2 hours will be enough to finish this. If you see here, you can see like different elements, different colors. You can see the text. You can see this thing here in kind of a horizontal manner. Then like it's structured this way. So in Flutter, these are all widgets. The way like you see the text that is there, the way these ones are aligned horizontally, the way all this is vertical to each other, all these components are vertical to each other. So these are widgets, but then there are two types of widgets. There are those that are visible. There are those that are non-visible, are invisible, that is. So for example, if you check, like this is a text, good evening, Jack. Like that is a widget, and in Flutter is called a text widget. If you see this thing about dates here, okay, we can see this kind of in web you'll call it a div with rounded corners with the text. This is also a widget, but then you can see there's this widget here, and then there's another widget here down. So it's kind of aligned vertically. So in Flutter, this is like a column, called a column, because it's aligned vertically. So a column in Flutter is not visible. Like you don't see like anything that shows this is a column, but it's usually used for aligning like other widgets. So if you check, these ones are aligned horizontally. Okay, this is called a row in Flutter. It's an invisible widget, but it's used to align other widgets in a particular manner. But we'll dive deep into this later on. Oh, how to start. So I was here. So like I was saying, the app usually compiles to native code. So whatever you will you will code, and then later on, like when you're compiling it, if it was Android, it will compile into a native Android app, and iOS native Android, a native iOS app. If it is Windows, it will compile to a native Windows app. But for web, yeah, it compiles to, I would say native, but okay, for me, I'm not a fan of Flutter web, but okay, we can continue. So everything in Flutter consists of widgets, which includes, like I was saying, texts, like visible screens, like when we were looking at that image, you could see that white background, like it's a screen. It's called, okay, it's a page called the scaffold. We'll come to that, but I just wanted to highlight that one. Then things like buttons, up bars, and then there are also an invisible widgets like columns, containers, and layers. Though we'll come to that when we start coding. So also in Flutter, widgets are composed of two types of widgets. They are stateless widgets, and then they are stateful widgets. So stateless widgets, these are widgets that usually don't change. Okay, I wouldn't say change their state because that's like repetition, but these are like widgets. Okay, I bet this would be best work with an example, but I guess I should come to this when you first run the app. Like I'll show you the difference between a stateful and the stateless widget. Yeah, I'll come to this when you start on the app, so that is usually like a visual explanation. Okay, like so they are usually like, okay, in Flutter there are actually many widgets, and when you're starting up, usually don't use all the widgets. It depends on what you're trying to build, but you'll discover that they are like you can do something like you want to align some sort of widget in a row, but then you can find that there's a widget called the list style that can help you align things in a row, like usually like this way. There's a leading widget, like that's the first widget that will start. Then in between there you can add any other widget, and then you put another widget at the end, like called the trailing widget. But we'll also do this when we are building the to-do list app, so that you see it in practice. There, if you ever checked, usually when let's say you are in Play Store and then you want to do some rating. Usually when you click on the rating button, there's usually a pop-up that comes up that lets you rate. So those are called dialogues in Flutter. So there are different types of dialogues, but we'll also come to that when you're also developing the app. So if I'm fast, because like I think we also have to fit in 2 hours. Okay, I'll also send the slides so that you can check later on. But these are all widgets. How's the time? Like I was saying, okay, for there are Montifiore widgets and Cupertino or iOS style widgets. Then there was I talked about the text widgets. There's also like, if let's say you want to put an image in your app, there's an image widget. There's also, if you want to put an icon, there's an icon widget. For most things that you want to put in your app, they are usually widgets, but then you can also create your own widgets so that you can customize them the way you want. Okay, I was explaining about rows and columns. If you want to align your widgets in a vertical manner, usually align them on a row. And then if you want to align your widgets in a vertical manner, you align them in a column. There's also a list view widget that usually helps you to align stuff in align widgets, not stuff, align widgets in a vertical manner or a horizontal manner. But that's usually used when you have a long list of widgets that you don't want to render them at the same time, because if you like render 1,000 widgets, it will like take a toll on the performance of your app. So what can you use? Which IDEs can you use with Flutter? For me, I'm using VS Code because it's lightweight and I don't want the machine to misbehave while I'm presenting. But you can use Android Studio to follow along. You can use IntelliJ. Oh, sorry for that. You can use either Android Studio, IntelliJ, or Visual Studio for this. But now I think we should now go to the practical part, the coding part for the first page of our app. But I'll take any questions before we go into that. And comments too. Okay, in case you have a question, you'll type in the chat. Like I'll look at it. I'll be checking like frequently. So let's. I hope you're seeing. I hope it's visible enough. Okay, let me. It's visible enough, but if it's not, I guess you can interrupt me by unmuting your mic, because when I'm presenting, I won't be able to see.
And if I can increase the font of your editor.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. So let me place the phone. Start a new Flutter project. You can either start it on the terminal, or you can. There's a command in VS Code. Control Shift and P. Then you'll see a dialog here called New Flutter Project. Or you can start it from the command line, but I usually don't use the command line for this because this is much faster. And then you can pick, like for our case, we want to build a complete application. So you'll pick the application, but in case you wanted to do a package, that's another thing in Flutter. You will pick any of these other options, but for us, we want to start to make a full application. Then I guess we'll select this folder for our project, and let's call it to do. So I guess I should first take you through the project files before we even start coding. Yeah, is it now visible, the text?
Sure, it is.
Yeah. So when you start a new project, when you create a new project, you'll be given all these files here. And for the most part, most of the files that you'll be working on will be the files that will be in this lib folder, the pubspec.yml. I'll explain what they all do. And sometimes, okay, not sometimes, but when you want some Android specific configuration on the Android folder, and if you want for iOS, in the iOS folder. So all these files, what do they do? For pubspec.yml file, this is usually for configuration of your app. Let's say you have images in your app, like static images that will reside in your app, not on another server. You will, okay, let me actually do it. You'll first need a folder where you'll put those static files of yours. Let's call that folder assets. And let's say we'll have images. So another folder, images. Okay, it doesn't have to, they don't all have to be in different folders, but it's usually for like ease of finding whatever you have put, at least it becomes structured. And then let's say we have another folder for icons. For now, maybe we won't fill all these. Maybe the next session will also fill all of this. And then we need a way to tell the app, okay, all the images that I have will be on this particular path, our path that is assets and let's say images. So you have to come to this pubspec.yml file. This file is, like I said, is for configuration of some part of your project. Then you can ignore all these comments until you come to a part like this commented part assets. Okay, you can uncomment assets. But so assets, where are our assets? In our case, the assets are in a folder called assets. When you put a slash, this means everything in that folder. But let's say you wanted a specific, let's say an image to be referenced in your app, you can also put like the file name. But in most cases, you'll just like put the whole folder so that you can access any new file that will be in that folder. So we have referenced assets. We also have to reference the folders that are in assets. So let's say we have the icons folder and the images folder. So we have to also reference them. Images and then you can anytime you do a change, you can either click Control S to save your changes, or this upper button here, you can click to get to save your changes. It will get whatever changes you have put, or you can also turn on the terminal. You can also turn Flutter. Yeah, they all do the same thing, but as a developer, you need to be efficient. So usually just click Control Save and it will run the changes for you. So in pubspec.yml, we either like do the configuration for like assets, and then there's for sometimes when you're building an app, you may need the functionality in your app, but you don't need to like code all your functionalities. So there are packages in Flutter. used to give you like extra functionality without you having to code from scratch. Let's say you needed a cool animation, but you don't want to do it from scratch. There are packages for like giving you like a high level configuration of making an animation. So there are also like, let's say you wanted to format a certain string in a certain format, but you don't want to start like like coding from scratch that functionality, so that you also test it if it will work. So there are usually packages in Flutter which help you like extend functionality in your app. So these packages are usually get them in PubDev. Like there's a website called PubDev. This you can explore different packages. So for example, for us, we'll work. This is a to-do list app, so we'll work with dates. There's a package called Intel. This package usually helps you format a date into a certain format. Okay, it helps you do more than that, but in our case, we'll use it for that functionality. So you can always actually if you ever need a package, you usually read the documentation so that you know how to configure it and how to use it. This helps you like if you get a new package you've never used, it can help you like configure it to whatever you want. But how do you like add this package into your Flutter app? You can either copy it, or you can also come to this installation part. They'll show you how to install it. But in most cases, if you know how to install it, you just copy it, come to your Flutter app. Then there's this part, dependencies. That's where you'll put, and it should be in line with this. Okay, in pubspec.html file is usually really how should I say this, not sensitive, kind of Python. What's that word? Not indent sensitive, but the indentation matters in pubspec.html file, especially in a place like this. Indentation matters. So I copied the package. I just come here and paste it, and then again I click Control Save to get that package, getting the code that is in that package. So what if you ever need any package? That is how we'll be installing it. Now coming to the lib folder. The lib folder is where like all your code, all like whatever you will code, you'll put it on the lib folder. This is like, I will say, the core of your application, the core of your functionality of your application. It's on the lib folder. And when you start a new app, the lib folder usually has this main.dat file that has already been generated for you with boilerplate code. Okay, I guess I should also turn this up so that I'll now come to that stateless widget part. Let me check if yeah. Oh, any questions so far? I hope my machine does not behave today. So even before we start coding, I was explaining that the widget part, we can also like destructure how we will go about doing this app. Like I said, in Flutter there are text widgets. So this here is a text widget. This is also a text widget, but you can see it's aligned kind of in a vertical format. So we'll use a column to align it this way, because okay, to make it simple, if you check this one, good evening and Jack, they are like they have different styling. This one is kind of a bit bolded, and this one is like normal. Also, so you see there's also some spacing here before we come to this other widget. So we'll have to add either a space, we'll have to add spacing here before we come to this widget. And also this widget contains other widgets inside, which are aligned in a horizontal manner, so they'll be aligned in a row. I don't know if you can see, but you can see some white over like before these widgets. I don't know if you can see. Let me try to zoom in. Can you see that white? It doesn't matter. Okay, but then there's also some spacing here before you come to this your habits text. And if you see, this is kind of in one line with this other. Okay, I was talking about icons. This plus here, it's an icon in Flutter. We'll also see how we can use that. And then it's in kind of like a circle, what's that color? A dark blue circle. We can also see some kind of widgets, complex widgets, kind of aligned horizontally, but you can see that this one is kind of has got the other side, but in Flutter there are also like scrollable widgets. Okay, not scrollable widgets, but yeah, this one looks like it will be able to scroll horizontally. So we'll see how you can also configure that, how you can configure scrolling horizontally on some widgets like this one, like this one, which is aligned horizontally. And then there's also this other part, today's task with the spacing, and then these other today's task that we'll also be doing. But also inside this, you can see that there's kind of this widget. It's like we said, everything this widget and then some text here. But when you click on that widget, it cancels this to show that particular task has been done. I hope it's now compiled. Yeah. So how do you like run an app like the way I have? You can do two things. You can either, like when you now have started the project and declared your boilerplate code, you can either click on F5, then you wait for some time depending on the capability of your machine, or you can also come to the terminal and click Flutter run app. It will also do the same process, but I usually prefer using this so that I can, okay, like if you ever click Control S and saves, like it will hot reload. Hot reloading is like it will save your changes and you'll see them immediately. But if you use the terminal, you'll have to click Control and R, or okay, not actually Control and R, but you'll have to click R. And I'm usually, it's easier for me to just click Control save when I'm exiting like when I want to save any changes than using the keyboard. I guess it's just a matter of personal preference. So the initial app that you usually get, I hope I'm in times. When you're starting Flutter, you're usually encouraged to like see what all this does. But if I go into it a lot, I guess we'll not be able to finish today's part. But if you can see, when you click this button, this text here changes into like it gets increased by 1. So like I said, there are two types of of widgets in Flutter: stateless widgets and stateful widget. Like stateless widgets, most of the changes that you like, visual changes, let's say clicking here, it usually doesn't get rendered. Like it it does not like it does not refresh the UI so that it renders like your changes. But for a stateful widget, whenever like you change a state, we'll come to state management, but whenever you change a state, like the app like kind of refreshes with your new changes. Usually you don't see it because it's super fast. About Flutter renders in 60 frames per second, so visually you won't see it, but it refreshes your app kind of with those new changes. So like when you click a button, it was so before, so it refreshes fast, then changes like whatever state you had changed it into to that new app. But when we used, if for example we used a stateless widget, let's try to change this into a stateless widget, this home. I'm sorry, I'm deleting that, but I guess it's for illustration. I'm creating a new stateless widget. How do you create a new stateless widget? Okay, for me, I usually do STL and then enter. It creates a new stateless widget. So let's call that stateless widget homepage, and then I have to reference it here. So this is how you create a stateless widget in Flutter. And how do you create a stateful widget? For example, you wanted a stateful widget. A stateful widget is the one that will like, if you change a state, it will like refresh the app so that your app kind of comes with a new state on the background. Like it's so fast that you won't even notice. But again, so if you see in most apps, usually there are things that are changing here and there. It usually does not mean that you have to like all your widgets to be stateful widgets. They don't have to be stateful widgets. So for example, we had this whole page here, and they're like things that will never change, things like this okay, this is called an app bar in Flutter. I'll also come to that. And there's this kind of an icon here, icon thing here, and then there's this, let's say, so the only thing that is changing is this 5. You can decide that this 5 now is the one that's in like a stateful widget, but for this case it won't work because you need this 5 and this one. Okay, if you click this one was the kind of making the changes. So usually start with a stateless widget, and if you think that some things will change in your app, you can convert that widget into a stateful widget. So for example, this is a stateless widget. How do you convert to a stateful widget? Okay, you can click control and dot, then there's an option here that to change it to a stateful widget. So this is how you change it to a stateful widget, but we'll also come to how you change state in a stateful widget. So now explaining this, let me remove these boilerplate comments. Okay, explaining this my app part. If you see void main, in most programming languages, main is the part that like runs So it takes all parameters that you'll be having into this. So you can see this main function has like a run method which runs my app. So your app will start here. So my app part is where your app will start from. So for example, you can see this material app, and then this material app usually gives you configuration for your apps like title. So for example, if I do this, let me try to do this. Okay, for some phones, it will actually bring the name, the name of that app. So this is like you configure the title of your app. Okay, this does not mean like the title for the icon, like in your app WhatsApp. Like if you see the WhatsApp icon in your homepage, there's that text WhatsApp there. That does not mean you're changing it here. This is not for changing that. This is for changing like how will your app be recognized by other platforms. For example, if it was web, you see that thing usually. Okay, let me you see kind of, not this one. Okay, let me go to which website. Okay, whatever name that is usually like here, like until that packet, this one is the same, like it's kind of the same like the title that you're trying to put here. So our app will be a to-do list, app. To-do list. So that will be the title of our app. And then you can see it's kind of like there's another method. Or should I go to object oriented? But okay, I believe some of you have already done object oriented. If you went to that, I guess we would not finish. This material app here usually helps you configure like things like themes, how like themes like how the color of the overall color of your app, like which fonts you want in your app. So for example, let me go to the same app, but I'll explain what I'm doing here in a few, to illustrate something. How are they doing this one? Yeah, I guess it's this one. So like you can see, there's something called the primary search. So let me for themes, there's something called the primary color. Like this is the main color that your app will have. Let's say it's a button. If you just put a button without configuring its color, this is the default color that most of your widgets will have, like visual widgets, that is. So for example, if I change this color to red, which app am I using? Is this or this? Let me return it. Sorry for that. Let me return it. Okay, as it runs, let me also explain. If you want to, there's a lot of parameters here you can change, like accent color. Let's say the app theme up there, like you want your app bars like to have a certain color, a certain formatting, like the background color for most of the part of your. This is actually better if you like dive into it, see how everything changes, because there are like 100 methods. Yeah, there are so many methods that we cannot cover them all at once, but it's usually like according to whatever app you have and whatever you need. It's usually advised for you to dive deep in on your own to see how things work. So this is where you most of the styling will be configured, this theme part. And then there's this kind of home method. This is where let's say the first widget will be rendered, like the first time you open your app. That page you saw that had like text and stuff, that's like the first page that will be rendered in your app, this home. So when let's say you are authenticating, like dealing with authentication, and you want to see if this user is authenticated already, like you saved kind of the token, you want it to go to a different page, and if the user is not authenticated, go to a different page. This is usually the part you configure like that function, but I guess that one will come when you are doing authentication, and yeah, when that part comes, we'll come to that. Today we are only focusing on widgets. So let's say we wanted to change this color, like most of the app bars of our app will have a certain color. We can configure the app bar, like app bar theme. Then there's a class app bar theme. Then we can also change the color. Let's say colors.red, and then hot reload. You see it changes out, like it's actually fast. Bar.red. So if you check, there's kind of a shadow below this. If you don't want the shadow, there's an elevation method. So if you put it to 0, you will like get rid of that shadow over there. So we said that the home takes the widget that will be first rendered when your app is run on the initial start. So for our case, I came here and added 2 widgets. I said I'll explain them. There's this scaffold widget. The scaffold widget usually, like, it's a widget that takes the entire screen. Let's you configure the entire screen. Like the entire screen includes, like, I added kind of like an app bar. An app bar is this first part here, the first part of like the app. Like if you like if you check WhatsApp, where the name of the person, online status and stuff is, that's usually the app bar. And then there's usually another bar here for, like, for example, Instagram. There's that bar of feeds, reels, your profile. That's usually called a bottom bar. So up bar is on top and bottom bar is usually on the bottom. This scaffold now gives you the ability to customize what, like, the up bar, the bottom bar, and other widgets in. We will see how to customize that. But then let's say you wanted to change the color of this. Initially, the color for the scaffold is usually gray, a certain mixture of gray. But if you wanted to change it into, let's say, a black color, there's a method called the background color, or let's say colors.black. I know it's ugly, but I'm just trying to show you. So you can also change the background of that. But it really does not mean that your app has to have the app bar. You can decide even to get rid of it, that app bar. So that maybe it's according to your design, you need to have a customized widget up there that acts as the app bar. You can also remove that. It does not mean that when you use a scaffold, you have to have the app bar. For our case, I'll so this app bar, it gives you like the ability to add some widgets in it, because usually the app bar contains some information. So there's a title method. Title is like the as it says, the main widget. Title does not mean it has to be text. It can even be an image, like title widget, not like title meaning text. So you can decide to have a text, like a text widget. Like I've not added text since we started. So there's actually a text widget, like I said. this text widget allows you to put text into your app. So let's put our app name to-do list and run control save. You see, you have you have that text displayed there. Maybe you wanted to have some sort of a circle here to represent, like, let's say, a profile picture. There's a widget called a leading widget. This leading widget, like, it will come before the title widget. So there's leading meaning the first widget that comes, then there's the title meaning like the main content of that app. But then there's also another, like, if you wanted to have something else here, there's an actions widget. I think I should also put that so that you see. But let's start with the leading widget. I want to have like a circle here, like a circle, kind of like a profile picture holder, kind of. So there's a widget in Flutter called the circular avatar. Circle avatar. That widget helps you to have, like, yeah, you see, that sort of functionality. So for most part, when you want to do a profile picture, usually you use a circle avatar. But then, like I said, in Flutter gives you widgets, which you can, like, readily available widgets, but you can also customize yours. Like, if you wanted like a certain functionality that you think that a circle avatar cannot have, you can customize like your own widgets. I'll show you how to do that too, hoping that I'll have the time to. So with that said, I think we should start on the app, so that any new widget that comes up, I'll explain as we go on. So we'll start by building this upper part here, this good morning part. But if you can see, this is not like a normal app bar, so we'll have to customize our own app bar, kind of. So I'll delete this. Okay, and I also need the app needs to have like a certain structure. So I cannot have like all code in this main, because if you're doing a huge app, then that means you'll have like a lot of code, and you don't want it all to be on the main file. So you can, on this lib, you can actually add more folders. So for like what I usually structure the code in a certain format. Like, let's say there'll be a folder for this folder will be responsible for like screens. Like, if you click this, you go to another screen. If you click this, you go to another screen. So I usually have a folder for that. And like, okay, for today we'll only have one screen, but I usually have that, and then I usually have like a folder for set management, a folder for like helpers, a folder for that. Like, the different speakers that will come will like add more folders, and then you'll see how you configure them. But for our case, I have a screens folder. It's not screens folder, and this folder I want it to have. Okay, in this folder I want another folder. Let's say the home page. This home page will be responsible for all widgets about the home page. So I want to have like a home page screen. So I'll add the file here. Add the file home page screen. And then, like I said, I don't know if the state will, okay, I know that the state will change at some point, but like I don't know if the state, okay, I want to act as if the state won't change. So usually you start with a stateless widget. So the first thing that you usually do, you need to import material.dat in your app. In our case, I'm using Android, but if you're using iOS, you'll import like Cupertino instead of material. So that's usually the okay, material.dat usually gives you like the ability to have like colors and stuff. Those stuff that I told you about, that Android renders like its own kind of Android widgets, iOS renders own kind of iOS widget. So I usually add this to tell the app that yes, I want you to render with like widgets that are like have an Android flavor. So I want to create a stateless widget that will be responsible to like have to like for the homepage screen. So STL to create a stateless widget. Let me call it homepage. And then, like I said, I want to, it's a screen, so I need to take care of like the, from the bottom to the top, I want this whole screen, like I want to customize it. So I'll, instead of returning a container, I'll tell you what a container does. It's also a widget, an invisible widget, but I need a scaffold widget so that I'm able to customize the whole screen. So I can save that, then come here to main. Remember, I deleted the home page, so that's why it brings an error. So I want to add this homepage screen to be the starting screen. So I'll just type homepage. Okay, I'll import it. Obviously, I am just typing it, but it imports automatically here. You have to import it, but in my case, I just have to import it automatically. That's a functionality that Flutter gives you. So let me run this. It brings me a blank slate, and if you can see, there's this debug stuff here. How do I remove that? Because like most apps don't have this. There's a method again in this, in the main file material app, called show debug checker mode. This one, debug show checked mode, but this long stuff here, I've never even known how to name it, like the exact name. But you change, this is a boolean, you change this to false. If you change it to false, you remove this kind of like a tag for debug. So I have imported this homepage screen, this one here, but we have not customized it with any widgets. And like I said, if you check, this one is like not a normal app bar. So I need like to customize it into this way. It will act as my app bar for that case. But then, what is it composed of? Two text widgets aligned horizontally. So this means I need to have, okay, this text and this text, but they have to be in a column widget. How do I do that? Okay, if you need to render like the content that will be on in here, it's usually in this body method. Scaffold has up bar, bottom bar, and then body is the one that will be at the middle. But just in case you don't have like the up bar or the bottom bar, the body will take the whole screen, and I need it to take the whole screen for my case. So like I know that the widgets here will be aligned vertically, so I need to have a column, and then I need column is a widget that takes many other widgets in, because a column needs to align different widgets horizontally, so it needs to have many widgets in. So there's a method called children are the widgets that will be inside the column, like the widgets that will be aligned horizontally. And I say that we'll have two text widgets aligned horizontally. So I'll add the text, a text widget. Let's say good evening, and good evening. Okay, like there's this good evening, and then there's the name. So these are like two different widgets. Okay, how do you know they're two different widgets? Simply because they have two different styling. Okay, there's a way to style them like as one widget, but for the sake of simplicity, let's make them like two widgets. So good evening, like I need to see how that one renders, and then another text, a random name. Yeah, Terry. But if you check, you cannot see. Okay, me, I can see them. They're up here. That's because, like I said, the scaffold takes the whole screen. which includes this upper part here, this part for notifications. So if you need your app to start like from after the notification part, you need to add like another widget. How do you add another widget on top of this column widget? How do you do that? Control dot, it brings you this. You tap with another widget like on top of it, it becomes, and then add this safe area. This safe area widget like enables you to render stuff like there's this upper part here. You don't want like, okay, you may need your app to go that way, but for our case it won't make like sense for the good evening to be on that part. And then there's also this other part here. So this safe area enables you to have your app render in the, like, I would say, visible space for your app, kind of visible space. So if you tap in the safe area, instead of it starting like at the start of your screen, it will be at the, okay, I would say at the beginning of past the notification area. That's where it'll start. But again, the column, whatever, okay, like you see, I usually add a comma so that it gets formatted. And I think I should, let me remove this link thing for the sake of simplicity. This stuff here, let me remove it. Yeah, the column, like if you have different widgets, they're usually aligned at the center. So if you see this, okay, I guess it's too small for you to see. Let me, okay, again, this, okay, the good thing about Flutter is that most widgets have like a way to style them. They give you like styled components. If you are to speak like on web terms, like they give you like the ability to style them without you having like to create your own way of selling them. So for example, the text, let's say if you wanted to change the text size, so it gives you like a style method. The style method requires a text style class, and this text style class, now you have all these, you can customize all these. So let's say the font size, usually at the beginning it becomes intimidating because you don't know like, oh, all these, do I need to have all this, do I need to know or like all these ways to style? No, actually you don't. Like, you only require the necessary styles, the necessary method like font style, font size. Okay, I'll show you how to customize all of that. But there are so many widgets in Flutter that, to be honest, when you're starting, okay, I don't know how to use all of them personally. I don't know if Eric knows how to use all of them, but it's usually like a learning process. Like, you'll meet this widget when you're doing this app. The next time you're doing another app, maybe on Stack Overflow, someone's telling you that, oh, you can use this other widget to sell it much quicker or much better. So it's a learning process. So there are many different widgets, there are many methods, but it doesn't mean that you have to use all of them. So this text widget has a text, like if you need to style it, you add the style method and the text style class. The text style class gives you like other methods to like style it. Now, for example, the font size, then there's like how you want it, the weight, like, do you want it to be bold, do you want it to be thin, do you want it to be like semi bold? Then kind of like if you want it to be italic, for example, there's a font style method. So I want you to see this text here. So let me like add the font style to be 24. That it becomes big. Okay, and then like I said, the column makes every widget in like to be like centered. So like the alignment of all widgets are centered. If I want to change it so that like this territory here comes like at the beginning, there's a method for the column called Okay, usually the column renders things vertically. So like that's the main way of rendering it. So if you want to change like the main way of aligning, there's like a main axis alignment method which takes like a main axis alignment class, but I need it to start at the start. So main axis alignment class dot start. For the sake of time, let me just continue. And then let me also style this to be to have like the same font size. Okay, that's not the main. Okay, like I said, main, like this is the main of alignment vertically. So if I want to change the alignment, like the way it's aligned horizontally, this is the main. It means that it should start from the start, like that's the main way of alignment. If I need to change the other way of alignment, like the way it is like at the center, because this is like kind of horizontal alignment, there's another method called cross axis alignment dot start. This will change it into like the horizontal manner. So a column renders vertically, a row renders horizontally. So if I was to have a row here, the main way of alignment for a row is usually horizontally. So if I needed to change the way it's aligned vertically, I would use cross axis. Like a row is actually the opposite of a column. So your alignment is usually like main. If for main column you are starting at the top, for a row it meant that you'll be starting like this other, not at the top but these edges. So you can see I don't know if the font is okay, but you can see the text now. It's now clearly visible, right? Okay, but again, if you check, it has begun like at the start of the screen, and from this template of ours, there's some spacing here, some spacing. So I need to add this spacing. I can wrap these in, like there are two ways of styling. I can decide to put it in a container. Like what a container is in Flutter is kind of okay. I don't want to say a div for those people who have never done web, but it helps you like configure and align like stuff. Like it's actually not visible. A container is not visible unless like you add the color to it. But then it allows you to align things, to add spacing and stuff. But then for my case, I don't need all of that. I only need it to like align it, to have some spacing before the start and the top, so that it does not look like it started from the edge. So I can add like another widget called a padding widget. A padding widget, I'll explain what it is. A padding widget takes a padding. What is padding? Padding is like I guess this would work best on with the visual representation. But for example, what should I use to draw? Okay, I hope you see the cursor. For example, you have like a certain widget. This is a certain widget. Then you have some text here. There are two types. There are two types of like spacing. There's margin. Margin is like the spacing of your widget, like the outer spacing of your widget. Then there's another thing called the padding, is the internal spacing of a widget. So for example, this phone here, this emulator, this other part, the external environment of it becomes like a margin. Then the internal part now becomes the padding. Padding is like internal, margin is like the external. So for this case, a padding widget like helps you like just if you only need spacing, you don't need to use a container, because like a container has other methods. You only need spacing. You don't need to use a container. So I would use padding here to create some spacing from this other side. So how do you create spacing? There's a method called edge inserts. Edge inserts. Then this edge inserts has different ways of configuring. All means whatever value you put here. Let's say I put 10. It will be affected on all directions, right, center, bottom, and left. But if let's say I wanted a different padding, then let's say the horizontal one has a different padding, then the vertical one has a different padding. I can use another one called symmetric. Symmetric takes either a horizontal padding, a vertical padding, but does any of them does not have to have all of them, any of them. So for my case, it's all 10. So let me, for example, put this at 50 so that you see the difference. So you see the padding here is small, but the padding here like is bigger. Like horizontally is 10, but vertically is 50. That's if it's a functionality that you need. But you can also customize like the padding, like for each direction. Let's say you want 50 this side, 10 this side, 5 this side, 1 this side. There's also an only part which lets you customize the only part you want, or from L. So like I said, you don't have to use all this. You can only use one way. For me, like this method that I'm showing here, I've just been using it recently. Not that I've been using it since I started. So I would say it's over time you learn which widget to use and how to use it well. So let me just put it at symmetric. I need horizontally to be 15. Let's say vertically 10. So I have changed the padding of this, but I also need to change the padding of this. So I'll tap it in a padding widget. Let me remove this so that you can see another padding widget. I hope I'm not too slow though. Okay. For this case, let me change, instead of using symmetric, because if I use symmetric, it means I also have like 10 here. So let me use another one. Let's say only one. So only I have to put the direction. Let's say the left, it should be 15. The left is this side, so it should be 15. But I don't need some padding at the top because this spacing is already enough. So at the top, I won't put any. But bottom, I need some spacing for the next widget. So let me put like something like 20. And then save it. Okay, let me put this at 5. So from this is the different, this is like a different weight. So I need to change. I also need to change this tail here to have a different weight. So there's a method here. There's a method called the font weight method, which takes the font weight class. So let me put it at bold. Font weight dot bold. So there's you can also like customize. Let's say you don't want it to be bold, you want it to be like semi-bold. There's this, you put a W and then you can change the weight into like whichever amount of weight you want for that text. 700 is for bold, 400 is for normal text, and these are the like for the ones that are in between. So you can also do that, then change. This text here will become bold. So I guess we are complete with that. It does not look the same because this is a different font, but we'll come to changing the font later. So I need now to put this widget, this row widget here. If you see this row widget, it has this widget here and this other widget. This is a column, but this column is inside like a row. So I need to have these different columns inside the row. So this is like this is some sort of a widget that is not provided in Flutter. So I have to create like a custom widget for this. So let me show you how to create a custom. Okay, let's go on creating a custom widget. So I need all the widgets for the homepage to be in a, for my case I need it to be, so that I can be able to know which of these widgets are used where. I'll create a widgets folder for the homepage, meaning that all the widgets about the homepage will be on the widgets folder, the homepage folder. So let me call it the date widget. Oh, my date widget. So that date widgets are either, okay, I have, for every widget I have to either import a material.dat.cupertino. So it will be a stateless widget called my date widget. So like I said, this where is that? It's in a column, so I have to put it in a column. So instead of returning a container, I return a column. Okay, let me also include it here so that you can, if you make any change, you can be able to see. So after this, there's some spacing here before you come to this widget. So let me add some spacing. So in Flutter, there's another widget called the sized box. Sized box is usually used for giving you either spacing vertically or horizontally. Excuse me. So either horizontally it will be width, but vertically it will be height. So let's give it a height of about 15 before we come to the next widget. And then like this, if you see this widget, it's in horizontal manner, so I have to add a row like a column. A row contains many widgets aligned horizontal, so we'll have the children method. Is it attribute or method? Yeah, children method. I think it's attribute actually, not a method. That's okay. So inside this children method, I need to have so many. How many are these? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I need to have those, my date widget, 5 of them. So I'll add them, my date widget, 5 of them, and copy paste 5. Okay, for now it will be the same widget, but we'll customize it to be different widgets. So I've not yet done the code for my date widget, that's why it's not seen, but I said it should be in a column. So this column contains 2 widgets, this one here which has the date, and this other one, this. So let me, the column takes the children. I'll put a container. Okay, a container allows me to, like, if you check well, this is kind of some padding before the 4. There's some padding before the 4. Like, padding is the internal spacing, margin is this external spacing, padding, this is the internal spacing. So I'll need some padding for, let's say, a random value. Padding usually takes edge inserts. So I need to have the same padding on both sides, so I'll use all. So let's say 8. And then the container takes a child. A child is the widget that will be rendered in that container, and in our case it's a text that will have, let's say, for now let's just put the number 4, and then I need to style it so that the 4 is kind of bolded. text style, font weight, bold. So you are starting to see 4444. Does not look pretty as of now, but we'll customize it to look pretty. So this text, this container also has different ways of customizing it. So you can either decide to put color here. Let's say colors dot purple. I don't know what the color it is, but let me just put purple. There's a color method attribute. Let me not use this method again, but you can see it does not look pretty still. So I need to make it better. So I can also start with the, like, I guess this padding is not the, like, is not sufficient. So I can start with the padding. I put, let's say, at 15, and then I need all this to be like spaced differently. So I'll also add a margin. Margin is like the external spacing. Put it on, let's say, all something like 7.5. So now you're seeing there's some spacing here. It does not look pretty yet, but we'll customize it still. So I can also put it, let's say, at 16. Like, it's actually, for the UI, it's usually like trial, okay, not trial and error, but you have to render it to see how it will work. You usually don't know the exact value. So oh, it's actually not purple, it's dark blue, but okay. Let me take the color. Color values. Okay. So below this, I need to have, hey.
Somebody in the chat, Lisa, kindly explain the term children as used in the code.
Oh, children. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Let's say, okay, like I said, a column is used to, like, align things horizontally, like many widgets to be aligned together, not horizontally but vertically, a column. So because these are many widgets, and you need to know like which widgets are now aligned in that column, the children attributes is like you are telling, oh, column, take all these widgets. So now the children's part is now like you put all those widgets that you want to be aligned, either, okay, for the column it's vertically, so you want all those widgets that will be rendered vertically, put them in the children's part, like all the children of the column. So you say these are the widgets I want the column to render them vertically. So if it was a row, this actually telling the row, so take all these widgets that have put in this children's place. These are the ones that you should render them horizontally. Like, is that answered?
George, is that answered? Yes, it's answered. You can go on.
Yeah, it's okay. So, like, I need to have some text below this ugly content. It's ugly for now, but we'll make it better. So the container too, okay, let's say it has a margin, so there's already some kind of spacing here and here. So if I need some text there for the day's name. So for now, let me just put, let me hard code Wednesday, like Wednesday. So all of these will have Wednesday. Okay, the reason they are all the same is because this widget, I have hard coded it with values. So I'm rendering the same widget 5 times, but it's hard coded with the same values. But we'll make it dynamic in a few. So it almost looks like this, whatever we are trying to do, but uglier. So we need to make it better now. We need to give it the styling that this one has. So we can start with the color. I don't know the blue, but which. So there are different shades of blue. Dot shade. So let me try to see which shade is that one. But it doesn't have to be the same one. It's just for demonstration. Yeah, maybe that one would work for now. So these four, I also need the color of it to be white. So I should change the, in the text style, I change the color attribute, colors white. That's how you change the color. So this, but then this, if you see this one is there, it has like rounded edges. So I should also rounded corners, that is rounded corners. I should also put this container that has color into like a rounded corners. But then, okay, if you want to like decorate a container into like, you change the shape, change like some styling of that container, you usually add a decoration attribute. The container has a decoration attribute, and that decoration attribute takes a box decoration. Like a container is kind of a box, so it should take a box decoration. If it if there were text style, like text fields, it will be input decoration, but that will be something like if you ever encounter it, you'll see how to do that. So a container takes a box decoration, but the problem is this decoration also includes stuff like color, and so for you not to like not confuse but conflict, you cannot have like a color attribute here and a box decoration attribute. So you need this color attribute, you need to remove it and add it into the box decoration attribute, because the box decoration attribute already has a color attribute. So it's if you ever put like a color attribute outside the box decoration, if you have the box decoration, that is, it will give you an error. Let me try turning it. So it's telling you cannot provide both a color and decoration. So if you put a decoration in Flutter, you need to remove the color attribute from the container. As in from container, you put it into the box decoration class to try this error. Now I have put it there. It's still the same way. Nothing has changed. But I need to have like rounded corners. So there's a border radius attribute, which takes a border radius class. So there are ways. If you need the border to be only at the top, you can add like a vertical border radius of the vertical. It will only be the top. If you want it to be only at this side, like this side or this side, you can add the horizontal. But for our case, I want it to be like all four sides should have the same kind of border radius. So border radius dot circular I need it to be like, let's say 15. So you can see it has now changed. It's now rounded, but then it's still not looking like whatever we want to achieve today. So first of all, I need, like you can see, there's some spacing over this side and this side. So I need to have some spacing too, this side and this side, and I need these ones to be uniform at the middle. So I'll I to have some spacing. This I render this. I rendered this row in the home page screen, so I need to have some spacing. Like I said, you can either use a container to add some spacing, or you can use a padding. But if it's only spacing that you want, you don't need to use a container, because like a container gives you many other methods, but you only need spacing. So just use the padding attribute. Then I only want it to be this horizontally, so symmetric horizontally, let's say 15. So that is that's 15 pixels from this side. So it does not look the best, but at least some improvement. So the row, like I said, if the main way it renders stuff, it renders it horizontally. So if I need to change the way it is rendered horizontally, I need to there's that thing about main axis alignment. Main axis alignment. How do you want your widgets to be aligned? For my case, I want to fill the whole space, but I want this to be like uniformly, like the whole space is filled but uniformly. Let me try to show you what I'm trying to mean. Like if you see, these widgets have taken the whole space here, but like there's uniform spacing. So the main axis alignment has is center. You center everything, like every widget you have, it will be at the center or the end, meaning that the way they'll be rendered, they'll start from the end this way. They'll start, meaning that they'll start rendering from left. Then there's space between, like it takes the whole space, but it gives the spacing for for all the like equal spacing for all widgets, but it takes the whole screen. So was this the behavior we wanted? Like kind of like this. It takes the whole space. I hope that's not ambiguous, though. I hope it's not ambiguous. But if it is, it's totally understandable. I also took some time learning that, but we improve over time. So I think I should increase the padding of this, because I feel like they're too little. Like the padding is too little. So let me put it at 20. So we are okay. We are now here. But if you check, these other ones are a different color from this one. So I need to make, like, let's say Wednesday to be a different color from this one. So how do I do that? There are two ways. If it was dynamic data, let's say today's date, you wanted it to be this color. Now the other ones to be gray. I can decide to put a boolean so that I know. Okay, the boolean will be responsible for, like, should this color be rendered blue, or should this color be rendered gray? So I can put a boolean. So these widgets, stateless widgets, they can also take like parameters. They can take parameters. So for example, I wanted to have a boolean. So okay, here I have rendered them. So let's say I wanted this one that I have rendered to be the one that is like a highlighted color like this. I'll need to put a boolean. So how do the stateless widget can have parameters which you can use to configure like how it will be rendered. Like if you had many of them, yes, it's the same widget, but you need it to be rendered differently according to like different specifications. So let's say I wanted to have a boolean. Boolean in Flutter. In Flutter, there is I get, okay, not actually, this is Dart, not Flutter. You can see me using const, using final, and then sometimes you just use var, bool, something like that. So if you ever use like a const in Flutter, a const means that that variable is immutable, like it can never be changed no matter what. Okay, not no matter what, but it's a value that cannot be changed. A constant value is the value that cannot be changed. Final value is a value that cannot be reassigned. Like let's say if I use final bool is equal to false, I cannot change this value. But if it was this way, it means, okay, if I put false, I cannot change the value. But if I leave it this way, I can reassign value to it. I know, like that's also hard to tap around, but with more practice, you'll be able to know, like, okay, do I need to put a final? Do I need to put like just like, let's say a bool without final? Like it's over time. Then if you need to put a constant, that's over time you'll come to realize that. But then I wanted to have a boolean to know that, okay, I have 5 widgets. I want to render one of it a different way. So I need to have a boolean to know, okay, if this one is the boolean is true, render it differently from this one. So I have added the final attribute for it to be accessed by, like, when you call it in a different place. Object-oriented programming, this is like a constructor. A constructor is a method that has the same name as the class, kind of. So I need to come here and, okay, there's this keyword, this, meaning this class, this my date class, take the is selected attribute. But then since I'm using null safety, I'll okay. I usually don't like using null safety for teaching, but okay, but for the sake, okay, you see I've put this question mark. A question mark in Flutter null safety means this value can be null. This value can be null. So it allows for a null value. Since like all variables in Flutter are nullable, so if you want a certain variable to be nullable, you have to explicitly tell Flutter that, yes, I want this value to contain null, because I only want, okay, for here I only want to change, I only want to, like, okay, I only want this to be like a different value, so I'll have to add the boolean here. But for the others, I want them to be rendered the way they are rendered normally. So I'll come here. This is a boolean, so I want to say if this one is selected, I want to render the color. I want to render the color blue. Okay. Again, you have to, for null safety, you have to use this one. I want to render the color blue. But if it is not selected, I want to render the color gray. So this syntax here, if you say is selected and then you put like a comma, like not a comma but a question mark, this like if it is selected, this is the same as the statement if is selected. It's actually the same. If it is selected, do this. Then if after you've done the if statement, like if statement, if you put like this colon, you say else if this is not selected, then what should you do? Render the color gray. So here I want the third one to be rendered a different way. Okay. Yeah. Now I want the third one to be rendered differently. Okay, it doesn't have to be like the third one, but since this one ours is static, it means okay, I'll have to say the third one should be rendered like differently, so that you see why I put the boolean. So I want the third one to be rendered differently. So this constructor here had a okay, I added that is selected boolean, so I can accept that is selected boolean here. Here use when I call that widget. So I put it as true. Yeah, now that will change to the color. Like this one is the one that selected the third one. So if this was like in the dynamic scenario, you'll have all your widgets, then according to a certain like criteria in either, if it's coming to the database or something, now you'll put it here, it will like render differently. Okay, thank you. Now we are done with this part. It does not look the same way, but for the sake of simplicity, let's go to the third part. I'll show you how to change the font so that it will all look the same way. So I want to render this your habits and like this icon here. So you can see this is kind of in a row. There's an icon and there's a text. So these are two widgets. I need to render them in a row, but there should be a lot of space. Like this one should be at the end. This icon should be at the end. So it means this widget here needs to know I need to occupy the whole space up to this part, like the whole space, and then this one should take the remaining space. So I need to have two widgets in a row. How do I do that? After this padding widget here, this one. Okay, I think I'm cluttering this, but it's okay, like for the sake of simplicity, I guess. I need to have some spacing again. I need to have some spacing here before rendering this. I need to have some spacing, so I should use a sized box. Sized box. Let's say a height of 15. Sized box, the height 15. Okay, if you can see, like in my case, you can see that auto completion. There's this package called not extension called GitHub Copilot. If you have that, okay, it makes you lazy if you're learning, but it's nice when you're developing. So you can also search GitHub Copilot. This one, you can install this one. It will help you in like writing, giving you better suggestions. It's actually better than the other auto suggestion tools. So I need to have some spacing before rendering the next widget. That's why I put the size box. And then I said the other widget should be rendered in a row horizontally. That is because you can see it's like there are two widgets, this one and this one. So I need to render them in a horizontally because I need to know which widgets will be rendered there. So I need to put the children attribute. So in that children attribute, there's a text that my habits text. My habits, and then there's also an icon. Okay, if you need to put an icon in Flutter, there is an icon. There's an icon widget that's provided for you. So this icon widget text, like you need, okay, you're telling it, okay, I want an icon, but which icon? You need to specify which icon. So there's an icons class. This icons class gives you like so many icons. Like, okay, they are like all these icons. You see all these are provided for you out of the box. So there are so many. Like it depends on your use case. But me, for our case, I only want the like plus icon, like meaning like the add icon. So I'll say icons dot. Like dot, you're accessing the attributes in that that class dot add. So now if I save, you'll see there's my habits and plus, but again it's not formatted, does not look well, it does not look good. First, so I need this, my habits should be a bit bigger and should have a bit of weight. So if I need to style text, I should I should use the style attribute in the text class. So I should take text style, then let's say font size to 16 and a bit of weight, font weight dot, let's say 500, a bit it's a bit bolder than a normal text. So this one is kind of changed, but this one is not. Hey, I'm in a meeting, please. So in our design, this icon here has like kind of the same color we used here, dark blue padding with before the icon. So I also need to have like that, the same styling here. So I should put it in a container so that I can be able to style it. Container, this container, I'll be able to have the padding, and then the color, and then the like. The reason I chose a container, okay, I can also use a circular button, but the reason I chose a container, I want some padding, and then I want to like decorate it in like a circular manner. So the padding should be about, let's see, about 5. Let's say all 5. Then there should be a decoration so that I change the color and the way it's like, and the shape that is above the quotation. The color I used before was colors. Okay, again, like if you are seeing that you're using the same color so many times, you can decide to have this color in a separated variable, so that you don't have to like call it every time, like be able to claim it. So I can have like another file here. I name it constants. That then this one will have like things that I'm using frequently that I don't have to remember every time. So like that color, I can call it final. Okay, it's constant. This is constant. K primary color. And then okay, let me put it as final. Okay, but then like I told you, colors is like colors is a class that is found in the either material.dat or Cupertino.dat, depending like iOS and Android, they have some different color schemes. So in our case, we're using Android, so I'll use material.dat. So I've put this color that I'm using frequently in a variable. So whenever I need to use that same color, I just need to reference that variable where I'm using it. So for this case, it will be here. I'll just type K primary, then import it. I've used it there. Then since I removed it here, I can also come here, reference it. K primary color. So it now you see the color. It's ugly, but I still can customize it. Now I need that this container to be circular in shape, and then also I should reduce the padding to be like 2. I need it to be circular in shape. I need the icon to be a different color. So the icon has the color attribute too. Color. So I need to be colors.white. I put colors.white. Now the icon color has changed, but I need that container now to be circular. So this box decoration has an attribute called a box shape. A shape. So this shape takes a box shape class. The box shape class can have either a, how do you want to render it, either in a box or a circle. Those are the two ones that are available. So box circle. So like in Flutter, the way I've done it here, like I've done container padding, that's one way. There's also another way, like before I had shown you how to like put like a circular contain. Let's okay, circular. The one that I told you is usually used for profile pictures, the circular avatar widget. You can also use it here. It usually just depends on how on your preference, that is, like you can decide to do it this way or use a circular avatar. It depends on you. So if you see, this one is like there's some spacing here, so I need to have some space. There are also two ways to do this, because I want to introduce a new widget called a spacer. A spacer widget takes all the available space. Like let's say this one was rendered here. A spacer widget will take all the space from here to like here. It takes all the available space that is in, like, let's say a column of a container. So for example, I need to take all the available space except the space for this and for this. I will use a spacer. Now, like the spacer now has taken all this space, but again, it does not look beautiful. So I need to, if you see, I need to have like some spacing here and some spacing here. Again, I can add this row in a container or a padding, because I only need the spacing, so I can just put it in a padding, and then I need it to be only horizontally. So horizontally 15. Now I have some spacing. Okay, I guess I should also increase the text of my habits to be a bit larger. Now we have rendered this, like this part. We need to come to this part. Now this part, if you want to see like how do we design this part. First of all, you can see like this one, there's this widget here, this big one with that color. This can be a container with some border radius. Then inside this container, there are these other widgets that are aligned horizontally. So there's this one, there's this widget, like a book widget with some, how should I say this? Okay, a circle with some faded color. So this can be either a container, then this should be an icon with some faded color, or this can be a circle avatar. Depends on the developer. And then there's some spacing, there's some text, and then there's a container. This okay, they're a container with like kind of a progress, and then there's text. So how would you go about designing this? Like I said, you break down the widgets. All the widgets that are in the column are like kind of in a container that is rounded, that has a circular, a border radius of some sort, and then they are in a column. The column has all these children which are different widgets. So if I wanted to design this, I will design it in a separate widget. Like let's say let's call it, or should not call it, main activities. Let me call that widget main activities. And for every widget you have to import okay, for every visual widget you have to import material.dat or Cupertino.dat. So a stateless widget in our case, because it won't change as per the demo. Then okay, the name is my main activity. So like it's a container, so like that's the first thing you're returning there, a container. But this container should have a decoration, so that I put that color box decoration of the color that we had put there initially. It was Cape. So like this is the beauty of having like that color that you're using frequently, like you're putting it in a variable, so the next time you don't have to remember the color again. So like Cape, I saved the escape term, I import it. Then there is also a border radius. Well, if I'm going too fast, you can always interrupt me. I guess I should have this. Okay, but since I want to see it in the home page, I have to like call this main activities widget. So it's home page. Let me just call it main activities without putting it in a top first. Main activity. So it will be tendered there when I do any change. So now I need to like the container takes a child. If for example I just did like put a color here without like having a child or specifying the height or the width, it will not render anything. Like you can see, I have put the color, I've put the radius, but then again it's not rendering because a container is like it's just there for alignment, for like how to list, kind of for styling the widget in some sort. So without specifying like the height or the weight, I mean the width, or like a child, like it will not know how much space, how should it render the color, the styling that you want it to. But for our case, it should render a column, because that column will have this and this, so you should render a column. So the child should be a column. A column takes children. So which children are we rendering here? We are starting with this. So the other time I used the container to like get the circular oh, it was this one, to get the circular way of adding the icon. In this case, let me use a circular avatar so that you can see the alternatives of doing the same thing. Circle avatar is like a round widget that you can, it's round that you can add like other widgets inside there, or like an image, like a rounded image. So a circle avatar takes the background color, like what will be the background color of that circle. If you leave it empty, it will like take the primary color, like the primary color we put somewhere here. This one. Will you take that? Yeah. Or you can specify the background color. So for example, background color, I want it to be a bit faded. Like this one is it's blue, but it's a bit faded. So that color, that our primary color, kept primary color, but I want it to be faded. So each color attribute has like with opacity, like with opacity attribute. This with opacity attribute, it tells Flutter okay, I want to render this color, but I don't want it to be like super red. I want it to be like a faint red, kind of like it's kind of a faded red. So if you want like a faded color, you use like the width opacity attribute in any color attribute. Any color attribute has the width opacity attribute. So I want to turn it like at 0.2 opacity, like a very faint color. So, but since you see I have a child, now it will render. But again, I don't only want the circular avatar. I also want like the circular avatar should have like a child. The child should have this icon now. This icon and this, and like it will have different icons according to like whatever to-do list you want to do. Like whatever main activity is in your to-do list, that is. So that child should have an icon, and an icon takes whatever. Okay, which icon do you want to render? For example, let me say a book. This book, and if you see that icon is a bit bigger than this, so I have to like specify the size of the icon too. So icon also has a size attribute to specify the size of the icon. So I can put that size to be about 40. So for now it's ugly because okay, 40 is too big, so around 30. Now this is not anywhere near to whatever I want to do, like whatever I want to do is not anywhere near. So I need some spacing too. Some spacing for from this widget to this widget to this text widget. There's some spacing. So I can either decide to put a sized box or a container with margin. But let me just put a sized box for the sake of simplicity. So this was the column. The next widget there is the text, but then before the text I need some spacing. So I need the size box with the height, let's say of 10 or of 15 before rendering the text. So now I can have the text widget, and let's say reading. So because that reading is a bit larger and it's bold, so I need to like change the styling. A font size of maybe 20, and then font weight of like the largest font weight I can have is let's say 800. Now okay, it looks big, but it's again, like I said, not beautiful. So actually here it was, let me put colors.right. Hello. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, I've been told tunafaa kumaliza at 4:30, so we have about 9 minutes. I guess the next speaker tomorrow will continue from where we will have left by today, so that there's continuity. So where was I? Now, like you can see, it still does not look good because this container that we have does not have like padding for this for those for its child, does not have padding for its child. That's why you see like it has gone back all the way to the edges. So for it to have like some spacing on the sides, we should add some padding. of let's say 10. So that's a bit better. And then the reading text should be a different color, white. Now, if you check, there's this other icon here. It looks like kind of a progressive. Okay, how would you achieve this? You can see this is like a container, like kind of a rectangle and another rectangle. So these are like two rectangles. There's a widget in Flutter called a stack. A stack widget is kind of, okay, a stack widget is a widget that allows you to put widgets on top of widgets. So for example, you see, let's say you have an image here, then you want to put text on top of it, you will use a stack. A stack is kind of like a stack of books. There's one book below, then you put another book on top of it. So like there's, you have two widgets. The first widget is the widget that will be below, then the next widget will be the widget that will be on top. So for this case will be the bottom book will be the base widget, then the other widgets that are on top. So for this one you can see like it's one container, but again it has like there's this part that is colored shop logs, and then there's the part that is inactive. So you can have two containers actually, either one to be the largest one to like show like this one is the one that will be like the complete process, and then the other one should be the one like it shows the progress. But okay, I can try to do this in the next 6 minutes, and then if we finish on this widget here, tomorrow you can complete this, and then now start on the functionality for the dynamism now, like for the date of the week, for adding a new task, for like adding more than one page. That will be like on tomorrow's event, tomorrow's session. So if let's finish on this, then I guess we can call it a day for today. So I need to have this widget here that shows like progress. So like I said, I'll have a container. Okay, before there's some spacing before that. There's some spacing before reading and that widget. So I can add either spacing, or I can put it in a container and then add margin. But let me just put it in a container. Then the margin should be edge insert.symmetry. Or let me say like I want the vertical spacing to be about 10, both top and bottom, so that I don't have to put a size box after that again. Then this one should have like, okay, I need a rectangle, right? So I can either have like one container again, a container, let's say with a height of 3 and a width of let's say 80, then with a color. Okay, but if you see well, this one is kind of with a border, it has a border radius, so I cannot just, if to put a border radius I have to put a box decoration. So if I use the box decoration, I cannot like put color just on the content. I have to put color on that box decoration. That's why I'll not put color there, I'll put the color on the box decoration part. Box decoration, then color, let's say colors.white, and then a bit of radius, border radius. So let's see how it looks. Okay, it's not yet like the complete that you want, but now let me introduce another widget called the stack, like the one I was telling you. So a stack, this top one, let me put it at 5. The one that we are seeing here, I want another widget to be like on top of this to show like the progress where we are. So if I want like a widget on top of another widget, I can add a stack widget. A stack widget also takes children. So these children in stack is like, okay,
Reuben,
the first, yes.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but our Zoom account will be ending at 4:30. Yeah. So can you continue tomorrow?
Yeah, we can continue from tomorrow.
Okay. So thank you guys for coming for the session. Sorry to cut you guys off, but Reuben is going to share the link to his GitHub account. And if you guys have any other question, you can either send to me or him. He's going to share his contacts on the chat. Yeah, and then see you guys tomorrow for the session, which is going to start from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. And he's going to continue from there. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for having me.